And welcome into the Mizzou Central Postgame show right here on STL Sports Central. That is Vic Faust. I'm Chris Pelikan. Your Missouri Tigers fall 27-24 to the 8th-ranked Crimson Tide of Alabama. A game I saw in person here. I'm coming to you live from the press box here at Faroe Field. And Vic, you and I texted briefly during the game, and I believe I said, this one's been weird for a lot of different reasons. And so before we start digging into the details of this thing, go ahead and give me your thoughts on what you saw today as the Tigers fall to 5-1.
Good to catch up with you, Chris. First of all, before we get into all of the game, and there's so much to break down, and I thought you perfectly described it, weird. I have to credit MIZ Nation. Missouri fans, absolutely insane, and you can talk more about this. But when the announcers are talking about how incredible the crowd is, when you can hear it through the stadium, and both of my sons were at the game today, Dad, it's electric here before the game, even for an 11 a.m. start. Missouri fans, you did your part. A certain Missouri coach did not. I'll tell you about that in a second. But Missouri fans, you did your part. The defense, you did your part. The offense, you left a lot to be desired. And unfortunately, Eli Drinkwitz remains winless against top 10 teams in the SEC. And we have to call out Missouri because 3-point losses at home are not going to do it, and you can't be satisfied with it. But I was most excited about how Missouri fans showed up for this game and really did what they could to help the team. And the team made it close, but in the end, I still feel sick to my stomach because they let one get away.
He is Vic Faust, former Tiger tight end and broadcaster. I am Chris Pelikan, live from Faroe Field as the Tigers fall 27-24. This is the Mizzou Central postgame show on STL Sports Central. And folks, as always, we invite you to jump into the comments section here on YouTube. Leave us your thoughts on what happened today. Looking forward to peeling this thing apart with you as well. And while you're in there, please hit the like and subscribe button. Join the family here at STL Sports Central. So, Vic, you just said. You said a lot, and I want to kind of start with my two cents from here. And by the way, we'll be joined by Howard Richards shortly here from the press box as well. I walk away from this thing saying I don't think neither the defense nor offense played well enough to win this thing. Bo Pribula is a guy who, over the course of 5 games, we felt really good about his play, and today against, without question, a top 10 team playing good football. Bo looked a bit overmatched at points today. Defensively, when you're giving up touchdowns on 3rd and 12s, things like that, the inability to kind of get the stops. We've talked a lot about how good this team is with time of possession, Mizzou, and today it flipped the exact opposite, where Alabama controlled the clock the entire game. So, the fact that you play, I don't know. I mean, are we? If we talk about moral victories, Vic, is that a loser's mentality and something that, the fact that it was a 3-point game, truth be told, surprised me. And the fact that they actually still had a shot at this thing very late based on what we saw. So I don't know, I'm still struggling to get my hands around this thing because I'll say this, Vic, and then I threw 9,000 things at you and let you respond. But, if you would have told me before the game how this, irregardless of how it played, that the Tigers would lose a tough one by 3 points, at home. You sit there and you say, well, it's all still out on the table for you. Again, if your goal is to make the playoff, this is not a loss that the committee will look at and say that, this is a disqualifier. They played a team that, again, is on a little bit of a heater. After the Florida State game, Kalen DeBoer's got this team ready to play. So again, but having said that, it kind of, I've got a sinking feeling a little because I think the Tigers played a pretty mediocre ball game and still had the chance to beat Alabama, with a minute left in the game.
That's why I have a sick feeling in my stomach, Chris. The exact reason. Because it was there for the taking. And the only reason I still say the defense did enough is because in the second half, when the defense had to make plays, for the most part they did. And the single play that beat them was a 4th and 8, where they forced Alabama into several of these 3rd and long, 4th down decisions, and they were making it. And an incredible play on 4th and 8 beat them. That's why I didn't have such an issue with the defense. My issue falls solely on the play calling of Kirby Moore, the execution of the offense, And I'm sorry, you've got a defense that has been so bad against the run, and you chose to pass the ball more so than run. And I don't care if their body's standing in every freaking gap and hole, you still knock back and you ride Hardy. And there were too many times where Hardy was not getting the ball on third downs. And I'll call it out because it needs to, because I have praised more. And today I did not understand the complete game plan when it came to his play calling and where Missouri was. And granted, I know Bo Pibula has his limitabilities. He does. I mean, he's limited. He is. And we saw it today against Alabama. But man, he was not put in a good situation too many times. And that's what frustrated me from the offensive standpoint. All of the mistakes, 2 turnovers, the interceptions made no sense. What was going on those plays? And there they were, still with a chance to tie the game without our best receiver being involved in the game, without Hardy having a good game, and or at least for what we've been used to seeing, and Missouri giving up those points. They were still in it. That's why there's no feeling good about a 3-point loss when Alabama was ripe. And I'm still not sure this Alabama team's going to finish out undefeated. I don't see them running the table. They did not strike me as the old national championship Alabama team.
He is Vic Faust, and the Brady Bunch squares have opened up, and Howard Richards has entered our conversation from just down Press Alley here at Faurot Field. Howard, I think I'm a couple doors down from you.
I think you are.
So you probably can hear me resonating throughout the press box area. But Howard Richards, Tigers color commentator, former All-American, NFL great. Howard, I mean, again, Vic and I are trying to unpack this thing because it seems like there is a ton to get to. But without me asking you a 19-minute question, I'm just going to ask you straight up, what are your thoughts sitting here, 15 minutes after the Tigers fall 27-24 to Alabama?
Well, certainly Missouri had its chances, and I thought there were a couple of areas that, penalties, early penalties, plays that helped them when you had a chance to get Alabama off the field. You weren't poised, and you gave them a chance to get the ball back. But, the third down area was off, 1 of 8, I believe, or something like that. Just not good. 1 of 10, whatever it was, not enough. This team has not played its best football yet also. And I'm just waiting for that to happen because I think if you compare to how you finished today, if you played at your level best, you probably win this game at home because you're able to force some turnovers. And let's get to that point. You're now midway through the season. You've played 2 SEC games. You got to start playing better. Got to get better play out of the quarterback. Better play out of your offensive line. You got to play better on your back end. Now, the explosive plays weren't there on the back end. That was one good thing. But by the same token, I heard Drinkwitz mention, defense has got to get a stop earlier than they did. But listen, the offense has got to be able to convert, stay on the field, give your defense more of a rest, and maybe they'll play better when they're playing against, a really stout, really good Alabama offense.
It was my contention, Howard, today that neither the offense nor the defense did enough to win this game. Time of possession has been just a bellwether stat for this team through 5 games, where sometimes we're seeing a 2-to-1 ratio in time of possession. Today, it almost fell the other way with Alabama dominating the clock. So again, you're right. I totally agree with you that the big plays weren't there, and that was good to see. But in your mind, do you think that the defense did enough for this team today to come out victorious?
No, not at all. Especially earlier on, you needed more of a cage type rush, meaning you got to surround Ty Simpson. How many times with bootlegs do you allow him to get outside? That's a hallmark of what they do offensively. Too many times you've got to get a guy upfield, but when he turns his back from that boot and faces downfield, he needs to feel the pressure of a defensive edge rusher, right? He needs to have someone in his face. In this case, Mizzou's on the chase. You got to come more upfield, stay home, be patient, because this is what he's going to do. Then make him make a choice at that point. He's probably going to end up throwing the ball away. Got to be better in that area.
Let me ask you about the quarterback comparison today. I was struck by a pretty wide gap between the two. If you'd have asked me before the game, Bo Pibula, Ty Simpson, you know, who's better? You know, I know that's kind of a loaded question as it pertains to quarterbacks, but I thought Simpson showed a ton of poise today. I don't know that Bo showed very much himself. How do you assess the way the two quarterbacks played today?
Ty Simpson outplayed Bo Prabula. I mean, everyone could see that. He's had more opportunities to play, but he's a really good quarterback. He's been in the system for some time. This is Bo Prabula's first year in the system, so things don't come nearly as naturally to him. There's scenarios that he saw on defense he's never seen before, where Simpson has. That's probably the biggest difference. Now, there are other areas. I think, the synergy between quarterback and receivers has to be better. Prior, I guess maybe the last third down, when he threw the ball away before he threw the interception, where the receiver went one direction, he was throwing it to another spot.
Yes.
We don't know whose fault it was at this point, but clearly the communication isn't there. They're not on the same page when they need to be. And those are big times in this football. With a completion in that point, you keep that drive going. So there has to be either more simplification, which we did see some simplification from the back end of the defense, and that was helpful. But maybe offensively, the simplification has to be there. But big kudos to Donovan Olubade making some big plays on offense when Missouri really, really needed it to. I do think we should have probably run the ball a lot more.
Thank you, Howard.
Oh yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, but we're talking about Bo. We saw what Bo is today when he doesn't have Hardy. You've got to have Hardy. So much more was asked of Bo Prabula today and against Alabama. So much more was put on his shoulders. And I'm still miffed, Howard, Chris, why we did. I don't care if you go out third and fourth down, why we didn't run the ball more, why we didn't challenge it. It made no sense to me. I did not understand the game plan. Not trying to be negative. I'm just calling it is. I have praised our offensive coordinator weeks past. I am not praising him today, especially after a bye week. Unacceptable all the way around. And hopefully they get it corrected because Auburn's sitting there waiting for us next week.
Howard, just curious on your thoughts on that, because it seemed to me from watching this game today that was what Cade Womack and the Alabama defense was intent on doing, was stopping the zone, the stretch plays, the way that the defensive linemen were simply just holding up on blocks and trying that they 1,000% were intent on doing this. And so it became a situation where you needed a little bit more out of Bo Prabula than you got. And if a team like Alabama makes a decision to stop the run, and that's what they're going to commit bodies to doing, you got to believe they're going to be able to do it. I just feel like,
I disagree, Chris.
I'm not letting Kirby Moore off the hook 100%.
I disagree, Chris. They were 100 in stopping the run, buddy.
What do you think, Howard?
Well, with you being a running team, your running team, that's your bread and butter. Lean on it until they decide that they can't stop you. And I think going back to last year, a similar situation when you got down, you started throwing the ball, and quarterback last year threw 3 interceptions in this game. Listen, you got the best running back in the country, for a reason. So utilize him. Again, I said we should run him until his tongue fell out. Well, his tongue's not falling out. You can't be daunted by, the colors of that uniform and the name or numbers on the side of the helmet. This is what you do. Go out and force them to stop you from doing what you do best at. We didn't do that today. When your quarterback's your leading rusher, that's a problem.
Howard, you mentioned simplification, and I wonder if, because the question is where do you go from here if you're Kirby Moore, especially as it pertains to Bo, who more or less had a game that seems, again, I know he's a confident kid, but this one probably will shake him a little bit, and some of the decisions, and at least, some of the miscommunication with the receivers was a little bit off-putting as well. What do you do if you're Kirby Moore right now to sort of get him and the rest of the offense, sort of steered in the right direction moving forward? Because it doesn't get a lot easier moving forward.
I'll have to go back and look at the tape. There's a few plays that I have questions about. I saw some open receivers. I don't know that he's surveying and scanning the field as well as he needs to. And then, again, if there's a misconnection on a throw downfield, there were a couple of those today. who's at fault? Is it the quarterback? Is it the receiver? So those are the questions that we don't know the answers to until they tell us. But clearly we can see that there's an issue. So those things have to be, they've got to be settled and quickly, because you could easily be, next time you play in Faurot Field, be 5-3, and you certainly don't want that to happen. But I don't think it's going to get to that point, because I think that there's a lot to extract in this area that we will see today once they get a chance to review on tape what they did wrong. But I think the biggest thing is quarterback play, and then offensively, collectively being better on third down. It's not going to cut it in this league with the percentage that you had today.
This is the Mizzou Central Postgame Show here on STL Sports Central, and Mizzou Central Postgame is brought to you by our home business banking partners at Home Bank. From business lending to everyday banking, Home Bank has been with us since day one as a trusted partner. Business is not just about numbers, it's about relationships, and with Home Bank, those relationships make all the difference. Home Bank is the team behind our team at STL Sports Central. Visit myhomebank.bank or call 855-577-2001. Home Bank, member FDIC, more than a bank, they're your business partner. And guys, as we do every week, Howard, before we let you go, let's throw out the money moment of the game brought to you by Home Bank. In your opinion, a lot in this game, lots of different things, but if you had to pick your one money moment of the game, whether that be a good thing or a bad thing for the Tigers, what would you say?
Well, certainly I can pick one good thing, the late touchdown by the big play, and then the touchdown pass to Donovan Olubade. A guy that, to me, deserves to maybe see the ball a little bit more. He has a way of making some acrobatic catches, has really, really good hands. But I also think that from a quarterback standpoint, I think Bo Perbula has to see the field better, and maybe not stare down and lock his eyes on one receiver. Just know where your receivers are going to be. Once again, the tight end, Norfleet, opened so many times where Bo just didn't see him. So that has to be, to me, a better focus. Alabama was giving Missouri the middle of the field. They just weren't taking advantage of it.
He is the Tiger Hall of Famer, Howard Richards, and a member of the Mizzou Network, serving as the analyst for all of your radio broadcasts. Howard, we know you got a drive to get to, so we will let you get going. Thank you so much again for all of your time, as always, my friend.
See you guys. See you in a few weeks, okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you.
He is Howard Richards. All right, Vic, and we now have Grant Salzman joining in here. The squares continue to move. But before we get to Grant, and I'll ask you this as well, Grant. Vic, how about your money moment of the game brought to us by Home Bank? Your thought on maybe one moment that stood out.
Well, there were two. The positive for me was the strip stack to start the second half. It put Missouri back into the game, and you felt momentum. You felt energy. And then, of course, they scored the touchdown, and just like that, it was a different game. The negative moment of the game, which became the winning moment of the game, was Alabama having the guts to go for it on 4th and 8. Not a tough call. They kind of had to. But the perfect pass, the perfect throw, the perfect defense, they completed it on 4th and 8. That was the sealer. That did it for Alabama. Those are, in my opinion, your money moments of the game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more on that. I mean, and honestly, you say it was an easy choice for them. I don't know about that, because, I mean,
yeah, maybe not. You're right.
You're sitting there, and if you don't convert that, I mean, you give Mizzou a significantly shorter field. I mean, obviously, Alabama's good in special teams. They could have dropped that punt inside the 5.
And the clock stops.
Yep, 100%. So again, a lot of guts, no question about that. We will bring in Grant Salzman as well right now. Grant, I know you just left the Eli Drinkwitz press conference. Before we get to what Coach Drink had to say about today's effort, why don't you chime in on the money moment of the game as well for you?
Yeah, I'll go a negative for Missouri is that 3rd and 24 play that preceded Alabama going for it, giving up 15 on a little a dump down, really ends up, I think, costing the Tigers the game. And if I had to go a positive that one of you didn't name, I'll go Jamal Roberts' big run to set up 3 at the end of the half, because going into halftime 17-10, I think kind of preceded the big strip sack, the touchdown. If you go in 17-7, you're feeling a lot worse about yourself.
No doubt about that. And the money moment of the game was brought to you by Home Bank, the team behind our team at STL Sports Central. Visit myhomebank.bank or call 855-577-2001. So as we mentioned, Grant Salzman just left the Eli Drinkwitz press conference. And, again, Grant, Vic and I and Howard really have not been able to wrap our heads around this thing totally just yet. Very curious what the head Tiger had to say after this 27-24 loss to Alabama.
Yeah, I think it's what we're all feeling is that we let them off the hook. You know, Missouri had their chances. They didn't play a good game at all. I thought it was a miracle that they had the ball with the chance to win or tie the game. I think that first half really from the first drive on was the worst half of football they've played all season, and they still somehow were only down a possession. I asked about, and something I was curious that changed the game was his decision to onside kick it compared to kicking deep and playing defense. He basically said we had enough time. We had all 3 timeouts, enough time to stop them and go score, which they did. But you got to think maybe the play calling is a little different if you have 20 more yards of field position.
Well, it was a terrible onside kick, too.
It was. The first onside kick was pretty good.
What?
The second one, not as good.
All kickers do all day long is kick balls. There's just got to be. I mean, I watched it when I was playing. I'm like, there is no reason an onside kick should ever look like that, ever.
And on
So
top
Vic,
of it,
Vic just being the big bully, bullying the kicker. You've done it your whole life.
I like kickers. Come
kickers
on.
are people too.
On a scale of 1 to 10, that was a 1.
Yeah,
And the biggest thing he's disappointed in was the money downs. I mean, Missouri 1 for 10 on third. They don't get the fourth down they go for. In Alabama, it seemed every single big time down they needed it. They got it. They get it on 4th and 9. They get it on 4th and 2 at the 2-yard line. Multiple other third down conversions earlier in the game on 3rd and 12. They pick up a touchdown off of it from, I believe, the 16-yard line. Just Mizzou could not get out of their own way, and I don't know. It's a disappointing feeling. He was asked about, do you have, is there a positive message? Look, you hanged in. He said, basically, hell no. It's not a positive message. We lost the game. It's not. Good job, boys. We kept it close. We lost the game.
Yeah. And, the funny thing is, and again, I feel like if Mizzou and their fans want to believe that this team is a playoff team, then you can't accept losing ever, especially at home. So I get that. But again, Vic and I talked about this before, and I'm sure that Coach Drink was not discussing this, but, when it comes time to select the field of 12, there's no one on that committee who's going to look at Mizzou losing 27-24 to Alabama and say disqualifier. So I mean, like I said, I know he was not in the mood for moral victories, but again, this is different than last year when they lose by, the game was over halfway through the first quarter. I mean, this is a tough game, a game you would like to win, but by the same token, you can't walk away from this thing and say, they were embarrassed in this, even though they didn't play a really good game.
I think the most disappointing thing is, and Drink was asked about it, and he really didn't have an answer in the moment. He basically said, I don't know, to the question was, Why did Ahmad Hardy only have 12 carries? Why did he only touch the ball 4 times? And he said, I don't know. He said, it's not.
That's a problem. That's why
not,
I'm so upset with the offensive coordinator. So upset.
Yeah, you feel like you probably want to get some semblance of an answer on that one.
I mean, who would have thought that Miller would have been the star running back in this game for Alabama, not Hardy? Forget a Heisman, and now you start from scratch, guys. I wish I could be very, very positive, but I'm not, because the game plan didn't make sense. And here's the other thing, guys, that I wanted to get in. This all comes after a bye week. There shouldn't be questions after a bye week. Receivers and quarterbacks not being on the same page. That's unheard of.
Vic, if I'm going to be honest, I know people are asking, is it that they weren't on the same page? I think it's just a really bad throw. Like, he had a Marquise
Howard was talking about not being on the same page.
And there were 2 different ones. The Coleman one was obviously, one that stood out. But earlier in the game, he had Marquise Johnson on one that it was Manning completely threw it behind him, and Manning hadn't even turned around for the ball. So I agree. Like, we don't know what the play call was, right? So you don't know who was off on that thing. But for that to happen twice in a game, coming off a bye week, not coming off a bye week, that really is a tough thing to swallow.
Well, and the problem is I don't think that last play is a miscommunication. I think it's a bad throw. It's either a throw that's really, really, really far behind Kevin Coleman, but from my angle on the field, it looked like a throw intended for Donovan Olugbade, who I'm not going to say he let up on his route, but maybe was at 95%. But even I don't think he had any shot to get to that football either way. Like,
No, he
I don't
didn't.
know who the ball was intended for. It was in between the two. It's just a shame that maybe he doesn't get his eyes to Marquise Johnson, who picks up that first down. I think a big moment, an underrated moment on that drive is 1st and 10 after the Lugbadek big catch is he has Jamal Roberts set up on a screen that gets at least 10, maybe 15, 20, and you're all of a sudden needing one more first down for field goal range, and he misses them. That is what I will go back to. It won't be the pick. If someone asks me the moment that this game switched on that final drive, it was not complete enough to Jamal Roberts. You have all the momentum in the world if Roberts goes and you pick up another set of downs after the bigger Lugbadek catch on 4th and 6.
Grant, did Coach Drink address Prebula's play specifically?
Yeah, a lot of coach speak. He said the 2 picks, they just weren't good enough on seams. You got to make the right decision. You could tell he was frustrated, but he was happy with the way he was able to avoid pressure. I mean, in that, if he's not able to avoid some of those sacks, Mizzou's not even in this ball game. But it's just, I don't know who I put the blame on in the pass game, because while Bo didn't make some throws, granted, receivers weren't open. There wasn't many times I was like, oh, no, Bo, you have to make that. Receivers just weren't open. I think the frustrating part is just so many chances. I think of Mizzou after they score, get the strip sack, score, make it 17-17, then get a stop, and they have a 3rd and 2, and Norfleet can't catch it. Maybe you should run the ball, maybe a PI.
That's interference on the defense.
And there was times in that game you had the chance to snatch the game by its horns, and you just didn't do it. And chances like this don't grow on trees. I mean, I don't want to give score predictions. I don't want to look too far ahead, but I don't feel great about this Missouri team winning 2 tough road games these next 2
No,
weeks.
you shouldn't. And this is why Kirby Moore, that's where I put the blame. I put the blame on the offensive coordinator. He knows the talent that he has. He gets paid, and I repeat, millions of dollars to know his talent. He did not have this team ready to play today, and I'd like to know why. He did not. Not a good game plan by Kirby, not in game. It did not work for Kirby today.
And
Grant,
Drink
anything
set the
else?
ball on him.
Yeah, Grant, where did Drink leave things? I mean, obviously, you mentioned it. 2 tough road games.
Yeah.
Not to mention that when they return back here, it's against, Texas A&M, who very well might be the best team in the SEC. I mean, what is the state of the program, I guess is the best way to put it right now in the mind of Eli Drinkwitz.
Yeah, he said they got to bounce back. You got to have a big bounce back week is what he called it. He said basically the bounce back week of all weeks is what they're going to need to have against Auburn, and something that I think you guys touched on a little bit. When asked about the Marvin Burks Jr. Play, he said, I will not be commenting on officials, reviews, flags, spots of balls. I will not be commenting on anything. So
fair enough. I think he said a lot without saying anything, and I would say that from the stands, I had a lot of those same questions as well. But hey, you got to live with the whole. You don't win or lose games because of officials, right?
Yeah.
And so end of the day. Well, Grant, we greatly appreciate your time. Thanks so much for cluing us in as to how things went. And we look forward to catching up with you again real soon.
See you guys in my Z still.
Yeah, COU.
Absolutely. All right. So this is the Mizzou Central Postgame Show right here on STL Sports Central. It is brought to you in part by the Legal Buddy app. Life happens fast. 1 minute you're driving home, the next flashing lights are in the rear view. When trouble knocks, answer with confidence. With the Legal Buddy app, you can connect to a local attorney in seconds, whether it's DWI, car accident, criminal charges, or traffic ticket. Download the Legal Buddy app today at legalbuddyapp.com. Register and use code LEGAL, that's LEGAL, to enter for a chance to win a $250 Amazon gift card. Always on your side. That is the Legal Buddy app. Vic, we've talked to Howard, we've talked to Grant. I don't know that I feel a ton better about anything at this point in time.
You shouldn't.
Because again, it's just, I really though I'm torn because again, I will say 1,000 times, no moral victories. I'm glad that we're at that point. But I mean, if you sit there and maybe by about, February of next year, when the season's done, you can sit there and say, wow, they played pretty crappy for 60 minutes and still had a chance to beat freaking Alabama. I mean, is that at least, can you at least take some solace from the fact that, like, it seems the program has advanced to a point where a bad 60 minutes for the most part can still keep you in the game with, truthfully, an obvious top 10 team?
Yes and no. Yes, because you did it and you hung in there. You played bad, but you still lost. But come on, this is not the Alabama of 6, 7 years ago. This is the same. This Alabama team got beat by Florida State, who's barely a top 25 team. Let's not forget that. I don't care if it was the first game of the year or not. It is what it is. This is not the Alabama of old. And Missouri, like Howard said, I think might have looked at the colors of their uniforms and allowed them to do what they did. Alabama came in expecting to win. Their fans came in expecting to win, and they did. Now, at the end of the day, there's no excuse to have a bye week and play like you did. But I said on our MIZSTL show on Monday, there were two things I was worried about. Play calling was not one of them, which ended up being a problem. It was one, playing Alabama off a bye week, literally 2 bye weeks, UMass, and then a bye week going into Alabama. Not what you want to do. The second thing I said I was worried about was an 11 a.m. start, but then Missouri came out the first drive. They eliminated that. The fans were there. They were freaking electric. The fans get an A. And then we saw Alabama commit to stopping the run. Doesn't matter. They've tried to stop the run in other games, and you have to live and die with what your offense is. You're a run team. You're not a throw team. So what I'm concerned about is who Bo Pribula is. And we said he continued to pass the test, and this was going to be another one. He did not pass the test today from a throwing standpoint, and I don't think he was put in good situation early on. And then it put pressure on him, Bud. Not to mention, we haven't talked about the fact, how in the heck does Alabama, who is a throw team, not have? Did they have one holding call today?
No, they did not.
Did they have one holding call today? There were 7 or 8 holding calls that I counted myself being fair, because I always am, even though I'm a Mizzou guy. Not one holding call. The officiating crew was brutal, absolutely brutal on the holding calls. They know what they were doing. It makes me wonder about the good old boy SEC network, because you know what happens, my friend. If Missouri beats Alabama today, that is really bad for the conference. Great for Missouri, not good for the conference. Calls were terrible. And that was not targeting or defenseless player. That took one of our good players out. That was really bad.
When it all said and done on the penalties, I mean, you might be surprised that it was Mizzou had 5 penalties for 30 yards, or Alabama 5 for 30, Mizzou 4 for 45. It did certainly seem, though, that some of the penalties, the calls, the non-calls happened at very, very important times in the game.
Was that a taunting? He did not stand over the guy and taunt in the second.
So are you talking about the Zion Young at the beginning of the game?
Beginning of the game.
And you know what? Like, if we're sitting here talking about our home bank money moment of the game, and truth be told, from where I was sitting in the stands, you talk about a dream start for the Tigers, the way they moved the ball down the field in the first drive. Then the first 2 plays were such high intensity, when Dalen Carnell just completely demolished a block to blow that play up to make it 3rd and 11, and then we see that flag come out. Honestly, that changed the entire scope of the game at that point in time. I mean, the
at least the first half.
Yeah, the snowball that you were trying to create that was going to be too hard for Alabama to overcome changes, and then all of a sudden, here we are, and then they're 5 minutes later, they're down the field, and the game's tied.
Terrible call. He did not look at the player. Did not stand over the player and look at the player. It was a brutal call. The officiating was horrible from that standpoint. The SEC owes Missouri an apology. They won't get one. It won't make a difference, but it was terrible, and it did change. And I'm sorry. I'm still thinking somehow, some way, that call did change a lot of what was going on. It was terrible. Whoever made that call should be reprimanded and at least get a 1-game suspension. I'll say it right there from a Missouri standpoint.
Yeah, it was a tough moment for sure.
It was terrible.
You couldn't tell from the stands whether or not what had actually happened. I was busy watching
on TV.
Arnell
you could
just demolish the blocker and make a great tackle in the backfield on that play. But again, it's just hard to say though, because it's like, again, I didn't know what happened. I didn't see it, but like such a huge moment. And you sit there and you go, is this one of these things where does Mizzou do the players have to be a little better in those instances? You're probably right. And you know what, like if you sit there and you think that the officials are going to be the ones who determine the outcomes of game, you've lost before you've even started. But having said that, I don't disagree with you that they chase brands a little bit, and some of these calls were maybe. But I mean, like it makes, but don't the Tigers have to be that much better at that point in time and stay away because it seems like the flags might come a little quicker?
As coaches, there's nothing that he could have been told to do better. He got up, he celebrated. You want the emotion. It's a violent game. It is an emotional game. He did nothing wrong. He did not taunt the player. He did not look at the player. He did not stand over the player and try to intimidate him in any way. I'm sorry. It was a brutal call. It was a terrible call. And he will not get in trouble for that. He did everything right, and it did. It changed the momentum, and it was unfortunate. Yeah. Did Missouri play well enough to win today? No. They were still in it despite playing their worst game of the year. But at the end of the day, we're breaking down the little moments that are unfortunate. And you can't predict that that's going to be done to you. He should do what he did 100 times over.
What did you think about, the one thing that I thought was a bit of a bright spot for a lot of it was there were a lot of times where Ty Simpson had a lot of time to pass. But for the first time, I think all season, I feel like we saw more consistent pressure on him, which maybe happened half the time, 40% of the time, as opposed to 10%, which has been happening. Damon Wilson, great game. He did exactly what he's supposed to do, what he was brought in to do, rush the passer. Did you feel like the pass rush was at least maybe somewhat of a bright spot in this one?
It's another reason why I told you I thought the defense played well enough for Missouri to win. I mean, the 4th and 8 play, it was just a perfect play, the perfect call, the perfect play. They still did enough when it counted to put Missouri in a position to win. That's the only reason. Plus, the pass pressure that they put on, I did not think it was going to be this good, and it was. So, Corey Batoon, I'm sorry, thumbs up. He put together some really good blitz packages. Ty Simpson was on the run in the second half.
Yeah.
He really was. They figured it out. That's why I thought Batoon definitely gets a positive today, despite giving up 27 points, where Corbin Moore doesn't, where he let the team down with his play calling and game planning. I certainly hope he wasn't interviewing for jobs in the bye week. I know there were some maybe unconfirmed reports out there.
Oh boy.
But it made me wonder. He did not show up with his game plan, but Batoon against that Alabama team, we did more than Georgia did against them. That's for sure.
Yep. Absolutely. So, Vic, where do we go from here? Right. So obviously it's Auburn next weekend. And, I don't know that I'm as in love with Auburn as a lot of people. I mean, Jackson Arnold's a guy who still has proven nothing to me as a starting quarterback, especially in the SEC. But that's a tough place to play. And shockingly, here we are in the middle of October, and Mizzou has yet to play a road game. What are your thoughts on, this feels like a kind of a fork in the road moment for this team, doesn't it? I mean, from the standpoint of, are they going to kind of let this one fester and beat them again? Or is this where this team finds its second gear and its resolve and it's, we've got bigger goals? I mean, obviously Auburn is going to be a tough test, but what are your thoughts on where they go from here?
From what I saw today, I like Missouri's chances right out of the gate. Now, this is an emotional thing that I'm saying right after the game. I like Missouri going into that game because they did not play a great game today. There is no way Kirby Moore will have a game plan like he did today where you're running Hardy 12 times. Alabama can still stand there and try to stop the run. South Carolina did the same thing. They have good athletes. I'm telling you, they're going to come up with a better game plan. Bo Prabula will be better. He's going to look at that video. He's going to see wide open guys. I feel comfortable about it. I do. They have to come back. They sold out today. The emotion was there. They know now, even though they lost the game, they know now we can play with Alabama. This is the closest Missouri's played Alabama in modern times. And they had a chance to win the game despite the calls, despite the mistakes, despite Hardy only getting a handful of carries. That's why I feel good about what they're doing next week. And if they don't, I don't even want to go there.
Well, then we will not. Just to update everybody, just so we're aware of the Mizzou rushing statistics today. Bo Prabula, your leading rusher, 11 carries 61, Ahmad Hardy, 12 carries for 52 yards, and Jamal Roberts chipping in with 5 carries for 50 yards. Again, 163 yards rushing is not a terrible day. So, I think the more we talk, the more your point is made that this should have been the emphasis of the team the entire day. And, again, part of me wanted to give Kirby Moore a little bit of a benefit of the doubt on this thing, just that he saw that they weren't going to win.
But why? Why do you want to give him the benefit of the doubt?
Because I am a huge believer in you give what the defense takes, or you take what the defense gives you. That's just.
But if you can't throw the ball, what are you going to do?
But see, that's the thing. You're going to lose games, Vic. That's what I'm saying. You have.
Well, then we got something else to worry about, because we did not live and die with Hardy today.
Yeah, and again, I'm going to look forward to watching this thing again, to really sort of go back and see where the opportunities were and that sort of thing. But again, I worry. I agree with your sentiment that Ahmad Hardy has to be the workhorse on this team. There's no two ways about it. He's capable of doing it. The team is better when he's doing it. But again, I can't fathom this team being a college football playoff team if Bo Prabula cannot throw the ball effectively.
But why do we have to say college football playoff team? I'm not even,
because I think that's the goal. Because that's the goal.
Well, yeah, but it's the goal of every team to say, oh, we're a college football playoff team. My deal is this. The thing that I guess upset me the most about it, Chris, is there were 2 third and maybe 4s, 3rd and 5s. We threw the ball on both of them.
Yeah.
Where's Hardy to even make it a 4th and short at worst? Because what have we seen with Hardy all season in this team? We've not been a great first half team, but in the second half, what happens? You continue to pound, you continue to pound, you continue to pound, and eventually you start to break 3 in the third and 4th quarter. We didn't have that today, because even though he may not have been getting the yards early, we didn't stick with it. It almost felt to me like our offensive coordinator was like, oh, I'm going to outthink them. You're going to put everybody up on the line? Well, guess what? I'm going to come up with this play action pass, or I'm going to come up with that, and it didn't work. That's why we did not do what we should have done with Hardy. Live and die with Hardy. We did not do that today, so we'll never know.
He is former Tiger tight end and broadcaster Vic Faust. I'm Chris Pelikan. This is the Mizzou Central Postgame Show, and it is sponsored by DraftKings. In Missouri, get ready. The wait is almost over. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is coming soon to the Show Me State, and you can sign up today. New Missouri customers can get $300 in bonus bets when we launch on December 1st. Download now and place a $5 bet when we go live. DraftKings Sportsbook brings you everything to elevate your game day, including live in-game betting, lightning-fast payouts, and endless ways to get in on the action, all right from your phone. And when we officially go live in Missouri, you'll be betting with the Sportsbook app trusted by millions. Safe, secure, and has fast money withdrawals. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code STL Sports to grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live December 1st. That is code STL Sports in partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, 21 plus, physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. So, Vic, as we sort of tie a bow on this thing, Tigers lose 27-24 to 8th-ranked Alabama. We've had some questions about where you think the Tigers go in the polls after this one. Again, we'll have to see what happens with a bunch of other games around the sport today. But, I just don't know that the voters are going to hold this one hardcore against the Tigers. Your thoughts?
Top 20. But once again, we don't know who's winning, who's losing. First loss is against Alabama. You didn't play great, but you still had the ball with the chance to win with 1:30 left. Yeah, it doesn't look bad. I don't know. I mean, I guess I understand the polling question. I guess because I am very concerned about Auburn, meaning you've got to take care of business there. Everything else will take care of itself, because the good thing for Missouri is they play enough ranked teams and teams that are really good. They could jump back up fast.
Easy.
But they could also fall down really, really fast as well. But we knew this was going to be the case. Now they've just got to go out and do what they want to do. I'll be curious to see what Vegas thinks about this line at Auburn as well.
I was going to ask you that. What do you think?
I want to see Auburn play tonight against Georgia. I need to see that. And no lines coming out yet until they play tonight against Georgia. So let's see what Auburn does in that Georgia game, and then we'll go from there. I really don't. I think it'll be close to being a pick'em game. I really do.
I was going to say I got Auburn -2 as of right now.
There you go. All right.
That's what I'd say, because I do think that if we're going to sit there and handicap it, I think that Mizzou is neutral site is going to be favored against an Auburn team. On the road is where you're going to lose your points. And so that'd be my guess, but I think your pick'em is probably not going to be far from where it ends up. But obviously how they play against Georgia tonight is going to be a big one. So any thoughts on Auburn? I've watched them play a handful of times already this year. And it's one of those deals where, again, I don't think Jackson Arnold has gotten any better. Defensively, they are a good team, and this will be a stout challenge. And I hope that you're right, that this is a sort of a look in the mirror kind of week for Kirby Moore in this offense, and that maybe they just decide, despite the fact that Auburn's got some bodies on defense, that they're going to sit there and try to, impose their will. But I think that if this thing comes down to a Mizzou offense versus Auburn defense, I think that's almost a pick 'em, but I do think Missouri's defense is significantly better than Auburn's offense, and that's where I think the advantage would lie.
Yeah, Auburn's offensive line coming into the year was supposed to be, or at least it was hyped as one of the best in the SEC.
Yeah.
That is not
been proven itself out.
No, not at all. That's why I told you earlier, despite it maybe being a pick 'em in my humble opinion, or even Auburn being favored, I still like Missouri in this game because I feel like Kirby Moore is going to get things right. I do. And here's the other thing. If you don't think Auburn isn't going to come back with the kind of game plan that Alabama did, then you're silly. They're going to do exactly what Alabama did, and let's see if Kirby comes up with different plays. Here's my thing. This is why I was just very upset. Not just I'm almost like I'm apathetic to the play calling. Hardy needs 20 carries a game. I don't care, win or lose. You got to get him 20 carries. He was 8 short of that today. That doesn't cut it when you have a guy that's up in the Heisman. So forget about the Heisman for a while for Hardy, because we didn't give him a chance today. I pray that he gets his chance at Auburn and gets a chance to wear people down like he had coming into this game.
Very well said, my friend. Well, we'll go ahead and put a cork in this one. Tigers lose 27-24 to eighth ranked Alabama. Again, tough game for the Tigers today, but they're back at it next week against Auburn. Folks, we very much appreciate you joining us today in the YouTube chat. And so for Vic Faust, for Howard Richards, and for Grant Salzman, I am Chris Pelikan. We will see you next time on the Mizzou Central Postgame Show right here on STL Sports Central.